Now to health matters and the crank up the it factor, because our resident doctor of ick, Dr. Thomas Rushton with St. Mary's Medical Center, joins us now to talk about fleas and tapeworms. Right. How about that?
Yeah, but not just with regards to dogs and
That's what I
cats.
thought.
Yeah, we are talking about humans dealing with these problems, and you were saying toddlers too.
This is where this is going to occur. You know, we love our animals, we love our cats and dogs. We're not going to get rid of them, but we really do want to control the flea issue if there is one. And we've been talking a lot about ticks, but this is also the season for fleas as well.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so one of the things we probably aren't aware of is that a flea, being an external parasite, has its own parasite. It actually has its own tapeworm.
Really?
The flea does.
Wow.
It does.
That would be pretty. Talk about a bad life. You're born a flea and then you end up with tapeworms.
Right.
That's a bad lot in life. But
Right.
but then unfortunately that spreads on to us.
Yeah.
It can. So how does the tapeworm work within the flea? Well, that tapeworm has to get into the intestines of the cat or dog. How's that going to happen? Well,
bite.
The dog or the cat is itching and so on. It finds a flea, and you've seen your animals do this, I'm sure if you have them, it's going to eat that flea. And there's a picture. So it eats the flea, and inside the flea is the tapeworm. And the tapeworm is just making thousands of eggs.
So they're just ingesting it. And
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and so the stomach acid breaks down the flea, and then the tapeworm is actually getting the intestine. That life cycle continues, and then the cat or dog poops that out. And that tapeworm is going to mature from egg into larva, and the flea larva actually then eats the tapeworm.
Wow.
And
So it's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. So where do humans come into this? Well, humans come into this if a human actually ingests a flea. So usually for adults, that's not going to be an issue.
Well, I had a few for dinner the other night,
Did
but
you?
other than
That's
that,
not advised.
I try not to eat them.
Oh, there's a nice looking
Now, how
cat.
in the world are you would a person ingest a flea?
Yeah.
Well, remember, fleas, they don't fly, they only hop.
Right.
They do some crawling, obviously. But if you had a small human, like an infant, crawling on the ground, then a flea could actually pop into their mouth, they would eat it.
Yeah.
And then what you're going to get are these little kernels of sand that are coming out the backside. You see it in the animals, and you'll see it in the
babies
infant as well. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so talk more about some of the symptoms or things that we should be looking for from toddlers.
Generally not much in the way of symptoms. This is not a fatal illness, but it is rather gross. And for parents, obviously, it's going to be rather concerning, as it should be. Yeah. We do have medicine to treat this and solve the problem. But, you know, again, the point here is don't let a flea problem get out of control. You've got to control the fleas. So
deal with it with your pets then.
Right. And we go outside, we will actually bring the flea eggs into the house, so it's a constant battle.
Everybody wants their house to be clean, and just the idea of it's bad enough fleas, but then you have to add the word eggs onto it, flea eggs. It makes it even grosser. There's just a gross factor that, and we said we were going to up the gross factor. So it's important to teach your kids to wash their hands after they play with dogs and cats. It's so important, especially before mealtime. You're out there, you're out in the yard playing, it's summertime, you're inside playing. Teach those kids to wash their hands after they play with the dogs.
Even, I mean, we're talking about toddlers being on the ground, but what about like sleeping with your pets? Could that be an issue too, or ingesting a flea?
I wouldn't think so, but I would suspect that if you got that many fleas on your animal, you're going to be getting bitten by the flea, which is going to be a nuisance in and of itself.
Ow.
Right.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, and if you do have a flea problem, it's probably a good idea, especially at this time of the year, to have a professional come in and treat your house. Because if you're having, excuse me, a problem where you're seeing more than one flea in the house, that is time for a professional to come in and treat it, because you could do it with a flea bomb. And
those things are, I'd be very cautious of using a flea bomb, especially around children.
Sure.
This is a neurotoxin. Again, what we want to do is control the primary host. And veterinary medicine now has a number of strategies that really are quite effective. Because it's really, I mean, the fleas are around the world. You're not going to get rid of all your fleas. But if a flea actually bites its host and then that causes the flea to die, now you're solving the problem.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
Thank you.